No, I will.
Yes.
You look like you're working for a TV station.
See it.
I'm not wearing shorts, so.
That's okay. I don't wear shorts. So we kind of fit in. But you just need a Metallica t-shirt.
Okay, Mr. Nava, why don't you sit right here? That's all right.
And his wife next to him.
Yeah,
On this
yeah, right there.
Te voy a quitar su
Oh, okay.
Let us scoot over a little closer. Make sure they can hear the translation.
So yes, Olga is our translator, and they've got earphones so they can understand what I'm saying or what anybody asks in English.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is it possible we could all go and sit? So she's translating for them?
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
She's gonna translate his English for them in Spanish, and she'll translate their answers from Spanish to you all.
Así está bien. Así está bien. Gracias. Which one's yours? That one? This one? This one's mine.
No, you're good.
This one?
No, I got it.
Sorry, I can't reach.
No, you're fine. That's it.
Oh, you need the translator.
Yeah.
I thought you wanted the.
No, you're good.
Ready? This one? Yep. Good morning. I'm Les Weisbrod. We're here today with Mr. and Mrs. Nava. We're here because we filed a lawsuit against Baylor Medical Center late yesterday afternoon. We filed that lawsuit because Mr. Nava went into Baylor University Medical Center on August 5 of last year, 2024, for cancer surgery. And in the process of that surgery, they left a large metal retractor inside Mr. Nava. This is a picture of the retractor on X-ray that was done several days after the original procedure. So the procedure was on August 5. Mr. Nava woke up in pain. He had worse pain over the next few days to where it got to be unbearable. Despite the pain, they had him up and walking with this large metal retractor in. He was vomiting, sweating, feeling terrible, and they decided to take an X-ray because they didn't take an x-ray after his lengthy surgery. And when they took the x-ray, they found this large metal retractor left behind, which tells us that the lead surgeon, Dr. Davis, nor the assistant that she had, nor the resident involved, when they went to close Mr. Nava up, paid enough attention to notice that they were leaving behind this large retractor. In addition to that, the standard of care for nurses in an operating room is to count all the instruments that are used, keep track of them, and make sure they're all accounted for at the end of the surgery. In this case, not one nurse, but two nurses wrote down that they had conducted those counts and that everything was accounted for, which of course was wrong. So they sent Mr. Nava for an x-ray on the evening of August the 8th, and that x-ray was done and showed this metal retractor, but they didn't tell Mr. Nava at the time they did the x-ray that there was a retractor in there, because apparently they didn't really believe it. And they waited until 5 a.m. the next morning to take another x-ray. So they got two x-rays confirming they left a big metal retractor in. And then the surgeon who did the procedure was in charge. Dr. Davis came in and told Mr. Nava that they needed to do surgery right away to take out something that was left in. She did not apologize. Baylor did not apologize. We wrote a letter to Baylor saying that we were interested in resolving the case for the limits of the cap on pain and suffering in Texas, which the limits on pain and suffering in Texas are $250,000 for the hospital and $250,000 for all the doctors involved. So in this case, there were 3 doctors involved, and between all 3 of those doctors, they only owe a total of $250,000. The last time we had a press conference here about Baylor, it was about the death of Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. And I thought that when we did that, we would call some attention to how bad these caps on pain and suffering and mental anguish are in malpractice cases in Texas. But nothing was done because the leaders in our state don't care about the caps on medical malpractice damages. So here we are. We wrote Baylor a letter saying, if you'll pay the caps on the damages, we could resolve this matter. They didn't want to do that. One of the representatives I spoke to said, well, the retractor was only inside Mr. Nava for 3 or 4 days. Well, the fact of the matter is that Mr. Nava is going to live with this the rest of his life. He wakes up at night with memories of this. He's depressed. He is very concerned about the future health care he's going to need. Being a cancer victim, he thinks he's probably sometime in the future going to need more health care, although right now he's cancer-free. And what will happen when he needs that health care? He has these fears, and this is going to stay with him probably the rest of his life. In addition, Mrs. Nava went through this as well, and it's affected their life. And there's things that Mr. Nava can't do that he used to do. He's lost interest in things. And so it's affected Mrs. Nava as well. And yet, even though it's going to affect them for a lifetime, they're stuck with the cap on these damages for compensation. And Baylor refused to resolve that without filing a lawsuit. So it's really surprising to me that Baylor, which prides itself on quality care, could not only have this happen at their hospital, but also after it happened, did not want to resolve it quickly without having to file a lawsuit. So that's why we're here today. And I think it's important to Mr. Nava and important for everybody else out there that's seeking medical care for Mr. Nava to get his story out. And he is here to answer your questions and tell you how this has affected him, how he felt, and how he feels today, as well as Mrs. Nava. So with that, I'll turn it over to any of you that may have questions for Mr. or Mrs. Nava.
Señor Nava, si nos puede contar ese momento después de la cirugía, cuando despierta, platíquenos un poquito de lo que sintió, qué es lo que pasó después de eso.
Lo que pasa es que cuando yo empiezo a tener conocimiento, porque obviamente la anestesia me toma un tiempo, yo sentía que seguía un dolor, o sea, seguía con dolor, me sentía como con asco. De hecho, no podía tomar líquidos, no sentía tomar nada, no consentía nada.
So at first, when I first woke up after the anesthesia, because that took a while, I felt pain, a lot of pain. I felt nauseated. I couldn't tolerate liquids. I just couldn't tolerate them and felt nauseated.
Enseguida de eso empecé como a sentir como escalofríos, como que sudaba en frío.
So
Estaba
right away,
sudando.
after that, I started to feel chills and I was sweating like a cold sweat.
¿Le dijeron los doctores si eso era algo normal?
Lo único que me decían que era porque pues era reciente y que para el dolor me daban solamente pastillas, pero aún así las pastillas yo no me respondían, no.
So the only thing they would say was that, well, it's because since this is just really fresh, this is recent, that's why. So for the pain, they would just give me pills, but they weren't doing anything.
¿Lo dejaron salir le dieron la alta después de cuántos días?
Okay. La alta me la dieron después de como 15 días, pero antes de todo eso pasaron muchas cosas.
So they released me about after 15 days. But before that, so many things happened.
¿Cómo qué?
Como que la segunda operación me la volvieron a hacer fue cuando se dieron cuenta que estaba el metal ahí.
So the
Pero,
second surgery, that's because that's when they noticed or realized that the piece of metal was in there.
Okay. And I don't know, maybe English or Spanish will work. I'll ask it in English. But are they supposed to do an X-ray after the surgery?
So Baylor has a policy that if the surgery lasts 6 hours or more, there's supposed to be an X-ray before the surgery is over. This surgery lasted 5 hours and 55 minutes. So they did not take an X-ray. Now, I think best practice and standard of care is if you have a surgery and it's complicated, and this surgery was complicated because they ran into adhesions and scar tissues, so they called in another surgeon, a specialist in transplants, to come and assist in the surgery. And then when they finished the abdominal surgery, they also did some back surgery to remove a cyst basically on his back. That wasn't that complicated, but together it went a long time, and the first surgery went a really long time because of the adhesions. So a reasonable and prudent surgeon under those circumstances would take an x-ray when they closed, even though it didn't meet the 6 hours because it was complex and they had run into problems. Nevertheless, they did not take the x-ray here.
Cuando le dicen de lo que dejaron adentro, platíquenos qué sintió usted.
Ok, cuando el día 9 del mismo mes, un día antes me habían tomado unas tomografías, nunca me comunicaron nada.
So the day, on day 9 of the same month, the day before, they did an MRI, and they never told me anything about it.
Al siguiente día, que es el día 9, llega la doctora Davis y me dice nada más, hey, que te tenemos que llevar de rápido una cirugía porque se te quedó un objeto, algo así dijo.
So on day 9, Dr. Davis came in and said, hey, we have to take you back in to do a quick surgery really fast because something was left inside of you.
Y ya cuando le quitan el instrumento y se da cuenta de lo que dejaron adentro, para usted, ¿qué sentimiento tiene?
Ok, yo en realidad nunca me enseñaron el instrumento. Nunca, nada más fue porque lo miré en pantalla y eso fue todo.
So you see, in reality, they never showed me the instrument. It was just, I saw it in a screen, and that was it.
Can you move the stick this way too, if you don't mind? ¿Puede poner ese para su esposa? Disculpe. Y esta pregunta es para los dos, o el que quiera contestarlo. Sabiendo ahora lo que no les informaron, y luego sabiendo el tamaño del instrumento que dejaron, para usted, ¿cómo se siente? ¿Qué es lo que va en su mente?
Le voy a contar yo ahorita que le conté a mi esposa. En realidad, en lo personal, pues miedo de pensar de que si yo voy a otro lugar a que me cuiden, a pesar de que yo llegué con un tumor pancreático cancerígeno que iban a remover, después de que no me pasó nada, me dejan el metal. Para empezar, me dijeron que era robótica.
So let me answer that first. You see, personally, I am afraid. I feel fear. Like, what if I have to go somewhere else for medical care? I went in there so that they could remove a cancer tumor, not for something else. First of all, they said it would be a robotic surgery.
Y después de que me dijeron que era robótica, resultó que no. O sea, me tuvieron que operar y salí de la operación con mucho dolor, sudando. Me hicieron caminar en la noche, en la madrugada, en el día, con un pedazo de metal que yo no sabía. O sea, me hicieron caminar, tenía que caminar yo, con algo adentro del estómago. O sea, todo lo que yo sufrí, el dolor, o sea, es difícil.
Como que no le tuvieron en mente el dolor. Todavía ven cómo reaccionó y no hicieron por averiguar o por...
So after they said that it would be a robotic surgery, well, that didn't turn out that way. They had to do surgery. Then after that, I'm going through all of this pain, so much pain. I'm sweating. I'm cold sweating. Then on top of that, they made me get up and walk in the middle of the night, early morning hours, in the middle of the day. I don't know. I did not know they had left something inside. It was really difficult.
Usted viendo a su marido en ese dolor, ¿usted intentó hablar con ellos a explicar, mire cómo está? No.
Sí, yo siempre le comentaba a las enfermeras o a la doctora cuando venía a revisar lo que él desde que salió el primer día de cirugía sentía dolor. Todos los días era dolor, dolor. Yo les decía.
Yes, I would. I always did. I would talk to the nurses, I would talk to the doctors, and I would say, can you check him? Ever since the first day after surgery, ever since he was out of surgery, he's having pain, pain, pain. I would tell them that.
Y la verdad, él nunca estuvo bien desde que salió de cirugía.
To be honest with you, he was never well ever since he came out of surgery.
Siempre tuvo dolor, dolor. Y la verdad fue una tristeza, una trauma para mi familia y mis hijos.
It was always pain, pain, pain. It was just really sad. It was very traumatic for our family, for me and my children.
¿Nunca trataron ellos de ver de dónde viene ese dolor? ¿O?
No, nunca. Hasta que él vomitó fue cuando ya como que les llamó
Exacto.
atención.
Cuando,
No, they never did. It wasn't until he started throwing up. It's when it seemed as if it got their attention.
sí, es lo que iba a decir que desde que cuando se notaron que yo vomitaba porque me trataba de comer muy poco porque yo no quería, no tomaba más que agua y muy poco comidas líquidas. Ellos querían que yo fuera al baño, pero yo no podía hacer del baño porque obviamente estaba algo mal, yo no sabía.
So yes, that's what I was gonna say. That is when they actually noticed it when I started throwing up, because you see, they were trying to get me to eat, but I was eating very little bit. I was just drinking fluids. So they wanted me to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't go to the bathroom because I wasn't eating. It was just liquid and fluids. I couldn't.
Fue cuando decidieron llevarme a hacer una tomografía en la noche, en la tarde. Cuando salgo, lo mismo. Durante todo ese tiempo se les decía, necesito darlo para el dolor, lo que me decían que ya no te podemos dar y que esto del dolor.
So that is when they took me that evening to do an MRI, and it was the same thing, the pain, and I would say, give me something for pain, and they would say, this is all that we can give you for pain.
Porque ya me habían dado y que no podían darme más hasta que pasaran más horas.
Because they would say, we already gave you some, we cannot give you any more until so many hours go by.
Y después de la cirugía, ¿el alivio fue instantáneo? ¿Cómo ha sido la recuperación después de la cirugía que le quitaron?
Fue después de que me sacaron el metal, obviamente ese era el problema, porque yo me empecé a sentir mejor, ya tomaba para el dolor, pero no como antes, o sea, todo cambió.
So after they removed the metal, well, obviously, that was the problem. And I would still have the pain, but they would give me the medication for the pain. So everything changed after that.
¿Y cómo le ha afectado ahora, ya después de recuperarse? ¿Cómo le ha afectado a usted, a su esposa, a su familia?
En general nos ha afectado principalmente a mí, en segundo grado a mi esposa y en tercer grado a mis hijos, que son mi familia.
Generally it has affected me, of course, and then my wife, and of course, our kids, our family.
Perdón.
Y hasta el momento no le han pedido disculpas ni han hablado con usted sobre el error que hicieron.
Ok, lo que pasó fue de que al final del año yo cambié aseguranza y ya Baylor no está conmigo.
So you see, what happened was that at the end of the year, I changed insurance, and so I no longer had Baylor. Baylor was no longer with me.
Desde que salí del hospital hasta diciembre que yo tenía cobertura con Baylor o con la aseguranza, nadie me llamó y me dijo, hey, señor Nava, soy director. Es que el que tenía que haber hecho eso, o me imagino, ya que...
So ever since, I got out of the hospital at the end of December, I had Baylor through my insurance until then, but no one ever called, the director, I think should have been the one to do that.
Y nunca supe nada de ellos, o sea, ya no quise saber yo tampoco porque en realidad no estoy bien.
So I didn't hear anything from them. I didn't hear from them at all, and I didn't do anything either because, I'm really not. I'm not well.
Y aparte de la recompensa que está pidiendo, ¿qué es lo que buscaría para que podría cerrar este capítulo?
Lo que yo busco es de que tanto Baylor como cualquier otra institución de profesionales en el cuidado de la salud se enfoquen más en lo humanitario, no en realmente si yo soy doctor, voy a ir a ganar mis $10,000 por una cirugía. O sea, mejor mirar más humanitario, más como ver a la gente por dentro, tratar de entender más a la gente.
So what I'm looking for is I would like for, Baylor or any institution, any medical professional to focus more in the humanitarian side of it. Not just because you are a doctor and you're going to go make $10,000 for a surgery that, that it would be okay. I want them to see people more. I want them to get inside of them and try to understand them.
Porque yo en realidad, lo personal, me afectó bastante porque yo no me sentí tratado como humano.
Because in reality, you see, it affected me so much. It affected me a lot because I didn't feel that they were treating me as a human being.
Me trataron como si fuera, ok, o sea, ¿te pasó esto? Ok, no pasó nada, o sea,
They
como que no.
treated me as if, oh, okay, this happened. Okay. They treated me like, oh, it's nothing.
¿Hay consecuencias en su salud o en seguir en su tratamiento?
Sí, en realidad las consecuencias son de que, honestamente, psicológicamente me ha afectado mucho.
Yes, so the consequence is, honestly, psychologically, it has affected me a lot.
Siento que a veces despierto y siento que pues yo no tengo la igualdad como humano, como usted, como yo, como cualquiera de ustedes.
I feel like I wake up, and I'm not the same like any human, like you, like them, like all of you.
¿Has perdido la confianza en la institución?
Claro que sí.
Of course, yes.
Yo tengo miedo de que yo vaya al rato por otra cirugía y ya no regrese. ¿Por qué? Porque alguien no hizo profesionalmente su trabajo.
I am afraid, to go in for another surgery and for me to not come out of it because someone professionally didn't do their job.
I think that's good. Anything else?
Like, so what, in your opinion, I guess, where do we go from here? Like, if you said the 250 is the max, is that what y'all are asking for, or is there something different that happened?
Well, so
And if you can turn those mics back forward.
Los que puedas.
Perdón.
so now we go to court and see what a jury has to say, because I believe that a jury in Dallas County, seeing the facts in this case, would award more, but the caps exist. So we have to go and see if they'll award the caps. There's also an exposure for punitive damages. So in addition to the caps, if the jury unanimously finds that they acted with conscious disregard of the rights and welfare of the patient, which doing an instrument count and certifying it to be correct when it wasn't and they know better, could very well fit that, then a jury could award punitive damages on top of the capped pain and suffering damages. And so we'll see what happens, whether Baylor now would like to resolve this or it goes on to a jury and they'll face additionally punitive damages as well.
And then in your opinion, why do you think Baylor reacted the way they did initially, just kind of ignoring it, saying they thought it'd go away, or thought, like, why would Baylor tell you, like, we're not interested in anything?
Well, they're trying to save money. So they wanted to see if, they get some kind of discount off of what the maximum of the law says is allowed. So that's one thing. Why why they let it get to Mr. Nava coming to me, you'd have to ask Baylor that. It would seem to me that knowing that they did this and knowing that there's no excuse for this, this is what's called a never event by the Joint Commission on Hospital Accreditation. So knowing that this happened, you would think that they would be knocking down Mr. Nava's door, apologizing and offering to resolve the matter with him before he ever had to go get a lawyer. But they didn't. And so that's part of the reason why we're here today.
And then where was the instrument left? Inside of his abdomen? Or?
In his abdomen. Okay?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
You showed me that two different X-rays. So is that different or same?
It's different shots from the same. When they take an X-ray, they take several different views and shots. So it's that's what it is.
So this is just after his surgery?
This is a few days after his surgery. His surgery was August 5. This was shot the evening of August 8, and then they took it out. They shot again. They took another X-ray the morning of August 9, and they took it out August 9.
Okay, but this is August 8 X-ray.
Yes.
Both.
And their copies of them in the Dropbox.
Do you have a measurement of how big it was? Do you know how big it was?
28 centimeters by 6 centimeters. 24, sorry. 24 centimeters by 6 centimeters.
Could you bring a copy of the
Sure.
And that was sent to the Dropbox also. Right?
Yeah, and I also sent your newsrooms the link to the YouTube of the full press conference.
Yeah, actually, that one's August 8, and this one's August 9.
So which one, that one is August 8?
That one's August 8. This one's August 9. So, like I said, they shot August 8 at about 5 in the evening. And then apparently they didn't really believe it. So they did it again at 5 a.m. on August 9.
Why didn't they take one immediately after? I mean, if you're so incredulous.
We talked about that the surgery was 5 hours and 55 minutes and not 6 hours. And their policy was 6 hours.
But I mean, once they took the X-ray and saw it and didn't believe what they saw, why not take another one? Like,
Right away.
mm-hmm.
I mean, once they took the X-ray and they saw what they saw, why didn't they operate on him that night?
That's not.
Yeah. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's not a radiation spot. They can't really do it again right away.
No, they could. They just weren't on the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all very much.
And
Gracias.
I've sent a link to all your newsrooms, Emily, of the whole YouTube, of the news coverage will stay up there.